Is it true astrology has been used to predict some of the major world events?
If I could put it in a nutshell, it's the study of cycles of humanity.
Right. So that quote, history repeats itself, is accurate.
Millionaires don't use astrology. Billionaires do.
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode. All right, guys, super excited for this episode. We got a Vedic astrology expert, Joni Patry, here today. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I've never met a is it Vedic or Vedic?
Vedic.
Okay, Vedic astrology expert before, so I'm very excited.
Good. Well, I'm here. I can answer any question you want to know about this. I've been doing astrology for 45 years, but the last 25 years, I switched over to Vedic, which is the astrology from India.
And why is that one more accurate?
It's the true placements of where the planets really are in the heavens. Western astrology is off by almost a full sign. And if you ask an astronomer, where are the planets? This is where they are. So it's a true astronomical placements.
So that means everyone's signs are off, basically?
Yes.
So I'm not an Aquarius?
Depends. Depends on your birthdays. If you're born at the end of a sign, you might stay the same sign.
Okay.
But if you're born at the beginning, you're definitely going to switch.
So I was born on Valentine's Day.
Okay.
So I don't know where that is on the...
You're still Aquarius.
Oh, okay. And we're in the age of an Aquarius right now, right?
It changed. Not yet. We're almost there. But
cool.
That's why everything's the way it is. And 2,000 years ago, we started the Piscean era. And if you consider Pisces symbols of fish, guess what happened 2,000 years ago?
2,000 years ago, symbols of fish. What happened?
Jesus. The whole Christianity thing began.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So do they last 2,000 years each time period?
Each time period lasts 2,400 years. Each sign, like the age of Aquarius, the age of Pisces. And before the age of Pisces, it was the age of Aries, which is very warlike. Then Pisces, I believe all the religions came to the world. And Aquarius is I know. So there's going to be this incredible change when we get into Aquarius. And we're already seeing it. It's technology and knowing, not just necessarily believing, but the knowingness will come. And that's going to be great.
And when does that start?
It's kind of depressing because it's really not till about 400.
Oh, so I'm going to miss it.
I know, me too.
Dang.
I don't know. Maybe we'll be back for it, though.
I do believe in reincarnation.
Me too.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm an Indian astrologer. India believes in reincarnation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've explored some of my past lives, actually.
Yeah,
it's
me too.
Very fascinating stuff where you can learn from them, right?
Absolutely. And you know what I believe, your entire horoscope, which is your chart, where all the planets were at your time and place of birth, it really does depict everything you've ever been in all your past lives. So your chart is a sum accumulation of who you are from all of your past lives and what you're here to learn, most importantly. That's what a horoscope is for.
Right.
It's so useful and meaningful to be able to see who you are. Essentially, that's what astrology does. It tells you who you are. It tells you your purpose, your goals, your gifts, and your destiny.
Wow.
Who doesn't want to know that?
Yeah, it'd be good to know that. So what information do you need to get a chart done?
You need, first of all, your time of birth, which in the United States, it's documented. If you were born after the 1900s, it should be on your birth certificate. So your time of birth and everything else you know, the day, the year, and the place. And that's how we construct a horoscope.
Wow. So do you believe your souls choose the life you're currently living?
Absolutely. I do. But one thing I will say right now is I do believe in free will. And that's why you want to know your chart, because you want to know what your purpose, what your gifts are, and if you want to change it. But it takes a lot of discipline and focus to really change your life. But that's what we're here for. We're all here to grow.
Right. Is it true astrology has been used to predict some of the major world events?
Absolutely. And it does. It's all really, if I could put it in a nutshell, it's the study of cycles of humanity and where we've come from and where we're going. And absolutely, prediction is with the trends of events and who people are, absolutely, things are going to go a certain way. Unless there's a mass change in consciousness, which isn't likely to happen anytime soon.
Right. So that quote, history repeats itself, is accurate.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you were mentioning the Titanic.
Yes.
Rockefeller, or was it JP Morgan, was told
Yes.
not to go on it.
Yes. And I love that because JP Morgan, his astrologer, Evangeline Adams, she told him not to get on the Titanic, and he listened. So he had the utmost respect for astrology. And I love his quote, millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do.
Right.
So,
yeah, astrology. What about numerology? What do you think of that?
it's all interrelated because astrology is extremely mathematical. And when you really understand how to calculate a chart and all the divisions that we have in Vedic astrology, it's all about numbers. Yes. So it's like the number 108. Have you heard of it being a spiritual number?
No.
It's a very special number, 108.
Okay.
Prayer beads, the malas that they use to do their prayer work, is 108 beads. And it's because one of the divisional charts, the most important chart, has 108 navamshas. And when you really understand the mathematical formulas behind astrology, then you really have the utmost respect for astrology because it's all numbers.
Yeah, I love that. You made a video, and I actually know the answer. So this is gonna be a fun question. So you made a video on if Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are gonna last.
Yes.
So my friend's actually best friends with Travis, and he knows what's going on. So what was your conclusion there?
You know, their charts are very aligned. You know, coming from being an outsider, you always wonder, is this just for PR or publicity? But I don't think so. Their charts are very aligned, and yeah, I think they could last.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Wow. What are some other things you've been able to predict?
Well, I used to have a Japanese website, and for 7 years. And when I would write for this website, one time I predicted a massive earthquake. And it was the month before March of 2011. And I predicted a massive earthquake in March. And of course, we know what happened, the tsunami. I got so many letters of thank you from the Japanese because they had their weddings planned that month and they changed it.
Wow.
And so you see the power of astrology, knowing things ahead of time, how you can really, it's useful, very useful. But the other things I predicted.
Really?
Absolutely. In my book on Rahu and Ketu, I wrote it in 2017, and I'll show you the excerpt where I said 2020, around March, something catastrophic that will change our planet forever will occur then.
Wow, that's so specific too.
It is. And you know that what I based it on, this is a technical term, but it's called Rahu and Ketu. It's where the nodes of the moon are. And these are what cause eclipses. Eclipses are one of the most powerful tools we have as astrologers. So what I did here is I went back every 18 and a half years to where these nodes were. Every time that Rahu was in Gemini and Ketu was in Sagittarius. So it seemed that every 18 and a half years, because it takes them 18 and a half years to go through all 12 signs, but when they return to these portions of the zodiac, always something catastrophic happened. So I was dating it back right before I said, this is what's coming up. But the last time that they were there, 18 and a half years prior to, was September 11th.
Whoa.
And then I went back 18 and a half years prior to that, in the 82, approximately, was the AIDS virus.
Wow.
So then I went back 18 and a half years from that, and it was Kennedy's assassination in 1963. So I tried it one more time. 18 and a half years prior to that was 1945, the bombing of Hiroshima. So every time there's a catastrophic event, and very predictable with astrology.
So every 18 and a half years, there's a catastrophic event, basically.
Yes.
Wow. So that's good to know to prepare your families.
Exactly. Yes. And I gave lectures all over saying, look, around February of 2020, we're going to have something that's going to change the world forever. And I was at one conference, I got up and I gave a lecture for the world events, and people says, why are you so negative all the time? I said, this is what's going to happen. Not that many people thanked me, but I did have some because, well, for one thing, I was teaching at Western astrology conferences and I do Vedic astrology.
Right.
It's different. And it throws the whole zodiac back almost a full sign, not quite, like I was saying earlier. But it is so specific. It is so predictive. And that's what we want astrology for.
Right. Are you able to use this to make money?
Absolutely. You can use astrology for anything. There's medical astrology for disease and helping people with that. I predicted the whole Bitcoin thing.
Blowing up?
Yep,
wow.
I did. Well, when it first came about, I said there's going to be a new way that we exchange money. And I said that in 2008. And that's when Bitcoin came around. And then I gave predictions of when it would open up and get really big, and it did. So yes, this is very predictive. So another thing is I even had a sports predictor. For my Patreon page, I predicted who would win the Super Bowl. And of course, it was correct.
You predicted the Chiefs winning?
Yes,
wow.
Absolutely. And the way that I did that was I had the sports predictor and I did every NFL game for 2 years. But this was years ago. And I found the last time that they played each other 4 years ago, and it was the same time. And of course, because it happened before, it would happen again. And I made that prediction.
Wow. Just because they won the game 4 years ago?
Well, it was the timing of everything.
Okay.
It had the same rising sign as 4 years ago this time. So the charts were the same.
You might have to start selling sports betting picks.
Well, I used to do that.
Yeah.
I used to do that. I used to have a whole program called the Sports Predictor.
Wow.
But between you and me, I didn't like the people I had to deal with.
Yeah, when you're only focused on money, it's
exactly
that energy.
Because I want to talk about spirituality and why we're here.
Right.
That's the most important reason why we're here.
Yeah, let's dive into that. So have you found a life purpose?
Absolutely, yes. Life purpose is about feeling purposeful about your life. If you don't feel a purpose, you're not going to be happy. That's bottom line. We need to feel purposeful and we need to feel connected for what we're doing. Otherwise, life is meaningless.
Agreed. Because I spent my first 6 years of business just chasing money and there was no purpose there.
No satisfaction.
Yeah, but now with this podcast, I feel so aligned with my spiritual side.
Yes, that's
I
so
can literally
great.
Feel it. Like I wake up motivated every day. Before I would wake up like...
Well, you're helping the world, opening their eyes to seeing the truth. And so many people can't see.
Yeah.
And that's what astrology does too.
Absolutely. Are there certain signs that you wouldn't want to be friends with or be in a business with?
No, not at all. Not at all. I see the good in all of the signs.
Okay.
Because there's a positive and a negative for all the signs. And we have a choice. Are we going to choose to be that negative side? Or are we going to choose to be the positive side? There's beautiful attributes about every single one of the signs.
That's beautiful because some people rule certain signs out.
Oh, that's only because they know somebody with that sign. But you see, it's the whole chart. It's not just where a sun sign is. The whole chart. Like you have Mercury, you have Mars, you have Venus in different signs. When you say I'm a certain sign, you're saying that's your sun sign. Like Aquarius, that's your sun sign. But all the other planets are going to be situated in different places. And it's a whole map. I don't want to get technical, but it's a map where it falls in the chart. The houses will reflect what areas of your life are important throughout your life.
Right.
And then where we see where the planets are going in the heavens, this is called transits. And this will give you your future as to what you can look forward to.
Wow. So having your whole life mapped out is For some
Yes.
people, I feel like that could be overwhelming, right?
Well, I think it's empowering. Don't you?
I do, because then it gives you more sense of direction.
Yes, absolutely.
But some people like to have that free will aspect and just do whatever they want.
Well, but you got to know there's certain times that are better for doing things. I mean, think about it. Are you going to go out in the middle of winter to get a suntan, or are you going to go out in the middle of summer at noon?
Right.
I mean, that's very basic, but there's a better time to do things. And astrology gives you what are the good times and when should you pull back. You know, sometimes we push forward. Well, of course, you've heard of Mercury retrograde, right?
Yeah.
Mercury retrograde is not bad. It's a time you pull back and review. It's just everybody wants to forge forward, and there's all sorts of delays and obstacles. There's a better time to do.
Are you interested in coming on the Digital Social Hour podcast as a guest? We'll click the application link below in the description of this video. We are always looking for cool stories, cool entrepreneurs to talk to about business and life. Click the application link below, and here's the episode, guys.
Things than to push forward when you shouldn't, because then you're just going to get frustrated because things aren't going to work out the way you want them to.
Yeah.
And heeding the cycles, it's cycles. Knowing what cycle is good for certain things gives you a great advantage.
What do you think about tarot cards?
I believe in tarot cards because it's just where they fall. There's like it's just a reading where it can really help you understand really where you're coming from at that time. I find I used to do tarot cards a lot.
Yeah.
And it would like reflect what I was thinking more than anything else. So it was almost like a psychological thing to help me understand what I'm thinking, what I'm going through.
Interesting. Yeah, I started dabbling with them, and they're so accurate.
I know.
It's actually creepy because
It is.
I'll think I'm pulling random cards, and it's like spot on.
And you know, I love the tarot cards because if you understand what they're trying to say, there's a spiritual progression of each of the major arcana cards of our spiritual development, such as the devil, you know, that was used in James Bond as being evil and that. The devil, if you look at that card, they have chains around their neck, which means you have the power to take those chains off. You don't have to be attached to this anymore. So, I mean, I'm just trying to say it's a very spiritual process of the tarot. Did
you have a spiritual awakening when you were a kid that sparked all of this for you?
Let me tell you how I got into this. This is a very interesting story. It was 1963, November 21st. And I was watching our old black and white TV, and Jean Dixon came on the TV, and she begged President Kennedy not to go to Dallas and pretty much said that he'd be assassinated if he went.
Wow.
I saw this on TV. I was, in second grade or something like that. And then the next day, my mother took, I'm from Dallas, right? My mother took my sisters down to the airport, and she shook his hand. As a matter of fact, in the old black and white History Channel videos, you actually see him walk up to my mother and sisters. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Yes, in those old clips. But then, 30 minutes later, the unthinkable, of course, happened. But from that date and time, I always want to know, how did that woman know? And she was a psychic, but she was an astrologer. And ever since then, and thank goodness my mother had astrology books all over the house too, I started reading at a very, very early age, and I'm fascinated with it. I love astrology. It gives you a sense of peace and power to understand life and help people.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Do you believe in karma?
Absolutely. Karma is simply cause and effect. What you put out is going to be taken back with the same force and energy. So karma is what you put out, then you get back. It's the law of nature. It's the law of manifestation.
When it comes to like planetary movements and the moon, how it changes structures, does that impact anything for people?
Absolutely. The moon is like the public, right? So it changes signs every 2.5 days. And as it does, the persona, everything, but it's always related to how all the other planets are in relationship to the moon. It's a whole cycle, it's a whole process, but you can actually see certain things, such as when the stock market will go up and down.
Wow, from the moon?
Absolutely. It's the public. And if something big happens in the world emotionally, like something happens to a world leader, stock market goes down. Or it goes up when good things happen.
Right.
But it's really relative to the whole emotions of the world, the public, the people. That's what the moon reflects.
Interesting. So you've been able to predict some big stock come ups?
Yes.
Any come to mind?
Well, it was right after came out. It was like March. I can't remember the date, but I told my husband, I said, listen, the stock market, plummeted. And I said, we have to buy right now. Right now, because it's going to go right back up. And my husband thinks that was the greatest prediction I've ever made.
Wow. Because fear was at an all-time high during the pandemic. They didn't know if any of these stocks would come back.
Right.
But you had the intuition to buy.
I did. And we did. And it was...
Now it's killing it.
I know.
Wow. Look at you.
So, astrology gives you these tools. Like you ask, can it make money? Yes.
Yeah.
Because you know the future. Think about how powerful that is to know the future.
Very powerful.
Exactly.
There's people that try to time travel, but you pretty much have that in your brain.
Right.
That's
exactly.
Cool. Did your husband support this?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah. We've been together since high school. He had to.
Yeah. Well, you probably used it to pick him too. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I had to know everybody's sign back in high school. I was one of those.
Nice.
What's your sign?
So you were in this early.
Yeah.
That's cool. And back then, was it as normal?
As a matter of fact, back then it was more normal.
Wow.
Back in the early 70s, everyone wanted to know your sign. And then it went through in the 80s, the whole, people thought you were a devil worshiper. It went through all these different cycles. But it's on its way back now.
I feel that. I could feel it. Because when I was in school, it was kind of looked down on, honestly.
Yes.
And people made fun of it. And even I made fun of it, to be honest. But now it's like you can't even deny it.
No. And what's interesting? All the religions kind of say astrology is bad and don't follow it. When all the popes used to use astrologers back in the olden days.
Ironic.
Yeah.
I wonder why religion's so against it.
I have my theory. I think it's because they don't want people to have control. And they want to be able to control people. And if we all followed astrology and knew what I do with it, we'd have our control back, wouldn't we?
Be powerful. A society that has control over their mind. Yes.
And the younger generation's all acclimating to astrology. And there's going to be a revival of it. And I'm so happy to say I'm going to be on the forefront and lead them the right direction with astrology.
Love it. I'll be rooting for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you just wrote a new book, right?
Yeah. I try to write a book a year.
Wow. That's crazy. So you have a lot of books.
Yeah, I do.
Which one's the newest one here?
This one.
Oh, the middle one?
Yeah.
Which one? What's that about mainly?
It's about all my best tools and techniques that I've used throughout the years, which ones really work. And I use a lot of famous people to explain how they got where they were and why in their chart it gave them the opportunities when it all happened, such as a lot of the A-lister movie stars and all of that, which, by the way, that's a lot of my clientele. You know what I want to tell you? You have no idea who uses astrology.
Really?
Absolutely. Now, of course, I can't be open about who my clients are, but I work with a lot of politicians and kings and leaders in many countries.
Wow.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised. There's some starting to talk about it. The guy from Gossip Girl, I think Bridger Pennington. But yeah, he talked about it. And his chart is crazy. And it makes sense when you look at these charts, like why they're succeeding.
Right. You can see it all. It's so clear. And then furthermore, you can see when possibly there'll be a downfall or an uprise in career or profession.
Yeah.
That's what's great about it. You have this ability to really help guide people. And it's important.
Have you seen any common things on charts for like really successful people?
Absolutely.
What do they all have?
Well, it would be way too technical for you to understand. Okay. But for example, the house of money is the second house. And the 11th house in astrology is the house of great gains, large sums of money. Whenever you have those two houses connected by planets, then, well, a good example is Oprah Winfrey. she has the best connection between houses 2 and 11. And, you know, here's the thing with Oprah. She did it all herself.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's massive respect, the way she did it. And the way she gave it away too is amazing. But yeah, you see these billionaires and you're like, is that just destiny or is that hard work and free will? There's that balance.
I think it's a little of both.
Yeah.
I really do, because I believe in hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But I think it's very much their destiny because of previous lifetimes. But we can work to make the best of things by knowing this in a chart.
Yeah. How did you explore your previous lives? Because I did like a therapy, past life regression.
Yeah.
Is that what you did? Oh, you did that too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But in astrology, there's actually a chart just for past lives.
Really?
There is.
Oh, I'd love to see mine.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so cool.
Yeah. This is a divisional chart called the D12 Dwadasamsha chart, and it reveals your past lives and your parents.
Yeah, I just found out I was actually soulmates with my mother.
Wow.
But we used to fight a lot. So I thought that was interesting.
Well, you know, we're going to come back lifetime after lifetime with the same people because we have karma with them.
Mm-hmm.
We have things to work out for good and bad.
Yeah, 50 lives with you, Mom. We've been through it, huh?
Of course.
Crazy. Where can people find out about you? Where can people get a reading and all that stuff?
Okay, well, my main website is galacticcenter.org. And that's where you can sign up for readings. That's where you can join my Patreon. That's where you can get my free newsletter where I give predictions to everyone that's delivered once a week. That's on Galactic Center. But I'm starting something new and exciting that I think everybody will like to know about because I've been working on this really and truly for the last 45 years.
Wow.
And I thought, wouldn't it be great if you could have all your predictions, personal predictions, delivered to your calendar so you know what days are good or bad for things. And so I'm working on this, and it's actually called Galactic Planner. Mm-hmm. And we're almost finished with it. But what it's going to do, it's galacticplanner.com. What it's going to do is when you put in your specific birth information, I've written thousands of interpretations for this, you know, like if this planet's doing this in your chart or that planet, I wrote all of these. And it really and truly was a couple of thousand translations that I painstakingly wrote. And so this calendar is going to calculate all that. And it puts it into your own calendar, whatever, you know, it works with all of the calendars that are out there. So you can get, well, let me tell you a story about why I devised this.
Please.
Because my youngest son, he, every day he needed, well, not every day, but every month he'd come to me, Mom, tell me what my chart looks like. And so he recorded all on his phone, all the things that I would tell him for day to day to day. And one day, I'm not kidding you, I predicted when he would meet his wife.
Wow.
And I said, okay, it's going to happen this day that you could meet your wife, and she'll be older and she'll probably be into horses. This is how specific I got. Well, he meets her on that day. And get this, he has it written on his phone. And he goes, and it was like love at first sight with these two.
Yeah.
And he shows her, look what my mom's an astrologer, and she told me I'd meet you today. And he shows it to her. I'm surprised she didn't run away from him.
I don't know what I would have done.
And it turns out she's older, and she was on the equestrian team at the university.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what we can do with this.
Wow.
That's how specific Vedic astrology is.
I can't wait to try that out. When does that release? This year?
Yes, it's going to come out probably within a month or so.
Cool. I'm definitely going to use that. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
We'll link everything in the description.
Okay.
Thanks for watching, guys, as always. See you next time.